The Digital Gal, and thank you for jumping in and tuning into the replay, catching this for what in the ads is going on. Today we're going to be digging apart the back end of an ad account. So how to do an ad account audit. We're not going into a deep dive, but this is just surface level. I'm going to be covering off everything when I jump into a brand new Facebook ads account that I haven't seen before, whether it's an account that somebody has been running for a long time, or they've just set it up and they're just getting oriented. We're going to cover off some of the first little go-to things that I look for when I'm skimming through looking at an ad account to get myself oriented on the health of that ad account and the health of those ads, and trying to find myself a starting point on where I'm going to branch off from. All right, so that's all the secrets for the replay viewers. Don't tell the live viewers that are coming on right now. Just kidding. I didn't give them anything. Everyone who's hopping on right now, I can see lots of people are hopping on. Give me a little comment. Drop in the comments. Let me know that you're here. I would love to hang out and geek out with you and know who's here commenting. As per usual, you guys know the drill. If you're on the Digital Gals Facebook page, we've got that super secret keyword, which is outstanding. If you type that in, you can chat with my BF, my bot friend, and you can get a nice little sticker pack sent to you in the mail, courtesy of my BF, my bot friend, or Bob friend, as he's been renamed at one point. What else is going on before I get into ad account audits? The boot camp, the 4-week Facebook ads boot camp is in session currently. So we are in a 4-week run right now. This week was week 3. So we've done week 1, which is creating ads using Ads Manager. We've done week 2, which is audiences and targeting. We did week 3 this week, which was budgets and strategy. So we learned how to answer that question. How much money should I be spending on my ads? How do I spread that budget out into a more strategic way among my cold, warm, and hot audiences? Next week will be week 4 of wrapping up this run of the 4-week Facebook ads bootcamp, and that is covering off reporting and optimizing. So we will be touching a lot of the pieces that we are talking about today. We go in depth on week 4. So if you're not already a member of the bootcamp, you want to learn this kind of stuff, you want to get your hands dirty with Facebook ads with me, the Digital Gal, then definitely consider hopping on over into swiftkickingtheads.com. And you can check it out. You can join at any time. Think about it this way. The replays are always available at any time, but it's nice to be part of the live run when it happens, because then you can watch it live, you can ask your questions, and once you're in the bootcamp, you're in it for life. I rerun it 4 times a year, so that helps keep you current on everything Facebook ads related. Okay, so that was my upfront pitch. I don't normally do that, but we're talking about reporting and optimizing. We're talking about reports and ad accounts today, and that's exactly what's coming up next week for the week 4 of the 4-week Facebook ads bootcamp. So that's that. Today, let's talk about ad accounts and ad account audits. So let's hop in, and again, if you're popping in, let me know that you're here. All right, so I'm just chucking it all up here. I'm not going to be like piece out and piece by piece. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about audiences, frequency, which in itself is just like a whole conversation I could go down, but I'm not going to do that. Breakdowns, using your breakdowns menu, and then average costs inside of an ad account and how different objectives are going to influence that. So that's the realm of what we're going to be chatting about. So why don't we just dive right in? We're going to start with audiences. So I'm going to hop on over here into my lovely screen share. Let's put me down here. Okay, first thing I want to point out is today I started seeing this little notification in here, expiring audiences. This is kind of exciting. So it says unused audiences will expire. This is the first time that Facebook is now actually going to expire your audiences. But don't you worry, because it's saying if an audience hasn't been used in any active ad set in over 2 years, it will begin to expire. Expiring audiences that remain unused for 45 days will be deleted. So essentially, it's going to fall into the expired audience category, which you'll find in here. And then after 45 days, Facebook will delete that. I don't think you really have too much to worry about. Honestly, if you haven't touched an audience in 2 years and you haven't used it in an ad set in over 2 years, it's probably okay to sunset that audience. Sorry, not ad set, audience. Then you can probably let it go. And it's going to be a nice way to clean up these audiences, because I don't know about you, but my own personal one, we're looking at Small Dog's account right now. But my own account ends up being just a giant hot mess of a whole bunch of audiences that I've experimented with. So I'm not sad to see this happen. The only concern I would have with audiences expiring is that when you go when you go in to look at the results, when you go to audit an ad account, much like we're going to go and take a peek at now, it's nice to have historical data to be able to see way back when someone else was running ads, what audiences were they serving? How did those audiences work for them? So that's why we're in here in audiences to start with. So I'm going to get rid of that. That's okay. Do we have any expiring audiences in here? Nope, we don't. So let's look at, I want to see all my audiences, not just my website audiences. So let's give that a little refresh. So one thing I'm looking for when I'm hopping around inside somebody's ad account is I want to take a peek at their audiences. You can find that over in this business tools menu. And normally you'll end up in Ads Manager when you're doing anything related to creating ads in the back end of Facebook. But there is the audience section. If you don't see this up here, then you can scroll down a wee bit of the way and you'll find that under Advertise, you'll find Audiences. So you can click into that. This menu is somewhat persistent. You'll find it in many of the different areas that you're navigating around through Facebook ads. So Audiences, let's talk about it. So one of the things I'm looking for is I will pop in and I'll take a little cruise around and see what kind of audiences they have in here. Do they have saved audiences? And that's when we go to create audiences. Let's take a look at the different categories we have. Saved audiences are typically going to be cold audiences of people who don't know you. So that's going to be usually around top funnel. So we're trying to reach new eyeballs, new people, and try to get new people engaged with our brand. So if you have saved audiences, that's our very familiar, if I jump in here, that's where we get a lot of the options of geographical targeting, age, gender, language, and then this is where we get our demographics, interests, and behaviors. So if I go wakeboarding as an example, give it a hot minute, wait for it. There. So that's where we can pull in interest-based targeting. So we're not basing this off of data that we already have. We're basing this on information that Facebook has available to us as advertisers. So we can mix and match and we can build our own audiences. So typically, not all the time, typically, saved audiences are going to be cold audiences of people who don't know you. However, you can actually create a saved audience with a whole bunch of custom audiences. So for example, if I want to search my existing custom audiences, I can go website and I can pull in a website visitors audience. I can also pull in engaged with page, engaged with Facebook, engaged with Instagram. So what I'm doing is I'm layering in custom audiences. I'm layering those in here and I can create a saved audience with that. Of course, with any audience, you have to give it a name. Once you give it a name, you can save that audience. So what I'm looking for when I'm taking a breeze inside the back of somebody's ad account is I will go into their audiences and I'll take a little look around and see what kind of audiences they have created in here. So you can see in this column here, it tells you what types. So I can see we have only a handful of saved audiences. And what I'll usually do is look at the sizes. Some of them we have 14 million. Some of them are, 12 million. 10 million. So they're quite broad. That tells me that these audience sizes are going to be very cold audience targeting related. So at a glance, I can tell that. Then you can always go in and spot check some of them. You can hover over and get an idea of what's inside that audience. So this helps me understand when I pop into a new ad account for the first time. And when I say new ad account, I mean, in this case, new to me, not brand spanking new and an empty ad account, something that's new to me. So I can peruse in back here and see the audience sizes, see if they have cold audience targeting and warm audience retargeting going. So let's take a look at those custom audiences. When I go look at custom audiences, that's where we have all of these different options such as a website visitor audience, a customer email list that you either upload or connect to MailChimp or CRM, Instagram and Facebook engagement, video views. Those are the types of audiences that we're finding inside custom audiences. So if I come into somebody's ad account and I go and look at their audiences and they have 0 custom audiences, none. You know what that tells me? They're not doing an ounce of retargeting. They have no retargeting going on whatsoever. So they might have been hammering out ads to a cold audience of people. Cool, we're hitting that top of funnel. Awesome. But you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table by not having any audiences of people you're retargeting. So capturing that attention span on the cold audience side and then hitting them up again after they've been to your website or after they have engaged with your page or engaged with your Instagram or watched your videos. So that's low-hanging fruit. So those are cheap and cheerful, low-cost audiences that you should be building in the background, and having those available, that also helps give us a temperature check of, for example, if I look at video, do I have video view? Yes, I have a video view one in here. Video view, 365 days, there's only 1,300. It's not a very large volume. I would probably spot check that and see what videos are inside that audience. But there really aren't that many video views here, so it's not a significant audience. This information is important to me. Why? Because this information, when I now go take a look and peek in the ad account, if I start to see some things that are a little bit wonky and a little bit weird, this helps fill in the rest of the story to go, oh, well, they're probably trying to target too small of an audience with too big of a budget, for example. So if I take a quick glance at the audiences, that gives me a little more information for when I hop over into their ad account. So next up, let's talk about frequency. So before I get into the screen share on this part, let's just have a little mini chat on it. So frequency is going to be looking at how many people that your ads have reached and how many times they've been served with that ad. So think about it this way, and I use this example all the time. I'm one person. I'm definitely one person. I'm like, I have to think about that. What side of the bed did I wake up on this morning? I'm one person, but as one person on my device, I might be on Facebook today, and then I might hop over to Instagram, then I might be browsing some articles. In all those different places that I'm on my phone scrolling around, I can be served a whole bunch of different ads. I might hop onto Marketplace. All of those different places have ad inventory that can be shown to me. So I might be seeing one ad from a single advertiser that I'm seeing in all of those different placements multiple times throughout the week. So that still counts as one campaign, one ad, but that ad is showing up in multiple placements. And I'm one person, and that one person was served the ad, say I was served that ad 6 times. That's going to be a little bit high. So that's going to be a frequency. I saw that ad at a frequency of 6 times. So frequency is basically a number of how many impressions were served to how many people. So if your frequency is really, really high, that means you're probably hammering your audience and saturating your audience with too many impressions of your ads. You probably have too small of an audience, too big of a budget, and you're exhausting people. And that's not good for your ad account. It's not good for appeasing the algorithm and for competing in the auction and getting your ads shown ahead of competitors. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So if I head back in here, let's head over to Ads Manager. And let's go into this one over here. And let's clear that. I had that open. So let's just look at, if you go into your ad account, generally you're going to find, let's narrow down on, we'll go into these. We'll filter by selection on these guys here, just to make it a little more simple on what we're looking at. All right, so from here, we can see when you first log into your Ads Manager, by default, see how it says Performance Default, your columns, and that's all of these things here that we're looking at, these are all columns, they're all sorted based on the default setting, which is performance. So that's what we're looking at here. And when we look at our default setting, frequency is way back here, tucked way back. So we have our reach, number of people that we've reached. We have our impressions, the number of impressions that they've been served. At a glance, you can kind of make some calculations. I mean, if we look at this bottom one here, we had 10,000 people that were served 34,000 times. So we can say that's going to be a rough frequency of about three times each. Then we have this one up here, 5,000 people were hit 35,000 times. Youch. That's going to be a much higher frequency. So as I scroll to the right, I can see my frequency metric right here. And sure enough, that bottom one was a frequency of 3.3, and that other one was a frequency of 6.26. So that's telling me, wow, those folks are probably getting hit with way too many impressions. So then it's time to look at possibly scaling it back. But wait, there's more. So we're making a judgment here. This is live replays. We are making a judgment based on at a glance campaign level. Well, what if we were to drill down into that? Because this is, and again, I'm just kind of walking you through how the digital gal's brain works when I'm analyzing an ad account for the first time. It's kind of like following down the rabbit hole. So let's go down the rabbit hole together here. So I'm seeing, again, let's filter by selection. Let's focus on this one here. Let's go filter by selection. We're just going to narrow in on this one and take a look. All right. So we've reached 5,000 people 35,000 times. It seems a little astronomical, right? Well, what I'm noticing is that when we look at our cost per result, just from experience, I know that a 10-cent through play, that's pretty good. That's quite average. So that's telling me that, well, if I'm exhausting my audience, too small of an audience, too many impressions, that's usually going to spike my ad costs. But that's not happening here. So if we dig in a little bit deeper, let's dig in down to the ad set level. Well, I can see I only have one ad set, so I'm not seeing multiple different audience targeting. I'm only targeting one type of audience. It even says there I'm targeting a warm audience. Warm audiences, those are going to be smaller because I'm not targeting the big, broad, wide open ocean of everybody out on Facebook. Warm audiences in this case are people who have engaged with the page, who have watched videos, who have been to the website, who are on the email list. Those are examples of warm audience. So it's a much smaller pool. So then let's dig in one more step. We dig right down and then we see, oh, that's why. Once we actually get into the ads, we can see we have several different ads living inside this campaign. So at a glance, if I was just judging the numbers based on the campaign level of seeing 5,000 people reach 35,000 times with a frequency of 6, way too high. But once we actually dig in a little bit and see the story play out, now we can see that our frequency is not even showing at this level. So how can you get your frequency? You can go down and I can actually go back to the performance default. Let's see if that will... Nope. Let's go in to customize. Down here, I already have some saved views, but you can customize your columns. Wait for it. And then right there, you see it, frequency. If you add it in, all it's going to do is tack it onto the bottom of your columns. You can move this around. So I can move this right up and put this right ahead of my reach and impressions. If I hit apply, it'll do it, or I can save it as a preset. Test live show. Delete. So I'll remember to delete it. You can save whatever name you want. I usually say like Amanda's View or whatever. And apply. And now you'll notice your frequency column is showing up here. So once we dig in, we can see the frequency isn't as high as 6. The frequency is below 3, except for this guy right here. Now that's going to lead you to the question, well, where should our frequency be? Well, the frequency is going to change depending on what kind of campaign you're running. Gotta scooch over here. So the frequency is going to change depending on what kind of campaign you're running. And when I say what kind of campaign, I mean what campaign objective did you choose, or which campaign objective was chosen. In this case, video views was the campaign objective. And video views, frequency under 3, yeah, sure, I'm fine with that. If this was a reach campaign where I'm trying to reach lots of people, a frequency of 3 is going to be a little high because you're trying to reach unique people and just keep reaching the depth of that entire audience. And that's usually just a one and done touch point. Reach somebody, move on to the next. If this was a lead campaign, trying to generate leads with a lead form right on Facebook, I'm totally fine with that. Frequency hovers around 7, 10, totally fine with it. So your frequencies are going to change depending on what kind of campaign objective you're using. You learn to become very sensitive to your own ad account or the ad accounts that you touch more frequently. Frequently. The more familiar you are with an ad account, the easier this gets to become at a glance, to jump into an ad account and see, oh, wait a second, that ad cost looks astronomical, which I'm kind of touching. I'm skipping the breakdowns that we're kind of talking on average cost there. But actually, why don't I just do that? I'll just talk average cost and then I'll skip back up here. But you do get to learn average costs inside each ad account. And I'll tell you, they are nowhere near similar from one ad account and one client to the next and one business to the next. They're all over the map. So your own baseline, I just call it a baseline. You got to set your baseline. It's kind of like set your own score, and you got to beat your own score like a big game. You're trying to beat your best score every time you're creating a new campaign. If you were getting 30 cents a click on your previous campaigns, let's try and beat that score. Let's get it down to 27 cents a click. If you were getting $1.50 per landing page view, let's try and beat that score. Let's get that down to $1 per landing page view. So inside your own ad account, you generally start to get a sense of what your costs are looking like. I have one client, for example, last week we were struggling, or the week before, we were struggling with ad costs that were around 30 cents a click. And for us, that was high. And now we've got those costs down to 11 cents, 10 cents. And I'm like, yes, I'm happy with that. That's great. We've beat our own score. It feels great. But how do you know how do you know it's normal? You don't really until you start running some ads and setting a baseline. But once you have that baseline established, it does help when it comes to jumping into an ad account. Let's jump back in here. And I can skim across these costs right here, cost per result. I can skim across this, and I know in this ad account, 10 cents a through play, which is a 15-second play, it's pretty normal. This is looking really healthy, really normal. 14 cents is kind of creeping a little bit higher. 9 cents, looking a little bit better. So that's just something to keep in mind. So when I set my baseline, I'm very familiar with, okay, 10 cents per video view through play, that's a 15-second play, is pretty normal. So if I were to go into, let's go back here and let's go do some hunting around here. Let's go look at video views. So I can filter this by, let's filter by objective, and the objective, if the objective was video views. Let's go look at that. And there we go. So now I can skim down here and I can see right away one of them jumps out to me. That's 24 cents a through play. It's like, ooh, that one's a wee bit high. So that helps me narrow in on something and be able to dig in a little bit deeper and go, well, why? Why did that one have a higher amount per through play? And then I look at other ones where it's like, okay, this is coming in at 1 cent a through play. That's concerning. And you know what that tells me? That probably tells me that the placements are may not be what I'm looking for. So let me just jump back on screen here and we'll talk about this for a second, because that's going to bring us into our breakdowns. So we were just talking about understanding kind of your baseline, your average costs. And once you get familiar with average costs inside your own account, or an account that you're auditing and taking a look at, you can really skim down through the campaigns pretty quick and ones will jump out off the page at you. For example, like that one I was showing you where my average is around 10 cents a through play. But all of a sudden there's that outlier where I was getting 1 cent per through play. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? So if I go in and I were to dig down a little bit deeper, that could be an instance where I might see that, oh, let's go look at where that ad was placed. Let's go look at our placements. And that's something that you can find inside the breakdowns menu. So when we go digging in our breakdowns and we break down our campaign based on where that ad showed up. So where is Facebook putting this? Are they putting it on Facebook newsfeed? Are they putting it on Instagram? Is it showing up in Instagram stories? Is it going in the audience network? Is it going in Marketplace? Is it going in the groups feed, which is not a really realistic placement anyway. Anyway, I digress. So there's lots of different places that your ads can show up. Instant articles is another one. Messenger is another one. Anyway, so lots of places that your ads can show up. And depending on where your ads show up, that can be skewing your costs and your average costs. So you might have ads that on paper that, wow, that 1 cent a through play looked amazing. But if we were to dig into it, we might find, oh, wait a second, that video was playing inside the audience network or in-stream videos. Those two placements are forced video plays, as in somebody has to watch it, sit through your video before they can hit skip and get on to doing whatever it was that they were looking at. Now I'm going to share my screen here in one quick second. I just want to actually validate if that was placement, if that's one that I can show. Actually, that one was totally fine. I'm trying to find an example for you that I can show you of where we had an audience network placement. I see it a lot. I don't have any examples in my account that I can pull up and show you right this second. And I don't want to show you client accounts, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to talk about the concept. But if we are breaking down, if we're using our breakdowns by placement and looking at the different placements, it gives a different dimension to the data so that we can break your breakdowns menu. I'll show it to you in a second here. Breakdowns menu is going to allow us to break down the information in various ways, such as looking at your campaigns by age. So what are the age breakdowns of who your campaigns were served to? What are the gender? What's the gender breakdown? An example of where that has helped inform my content is that when I'm breaking down my campaign results based on gender, I can see if my campaigns are starting to skew more heavily toward women and excluding men, or skew more heavily toward men and excluding women. And based on the content that I'm using inside that ad, if I'm putting out imagery that is attracting male attention and zero female attention, my average is usually a 50-50 male-female split. So that tells me, ooh, I don't want to keep circulating that ad because it might not be serving me as best it could. So I will go and take that ad down, realign the content to be more appealing to both men and women, and then I'll put that ad back out there. So that's an example of using a breakdown on the gender side. The age side, when I'm auditing an ad account for somebody, when we look into that ad account, I ask them lots of questions up front, such as who is your ideal customer? Who's your ideal customer who you think that you're doing business with? And then who are you actually doing business with? As in where are most of your sales actually coming from? What does that person or persona look like? And then what I'll do is I'll go digging in the ad account and I'll do an age breakdown and look at those ages and say, okay, well, your ads, your videos, for example, your video views are heavily circulating from 18 to 24-year-olds, but 18 to 24-year-olds aren't purchasing from you. You do business with, 50 plus year olds, for example. Well, your Facebook ads are heavy delivering in a place that's not serving you. So that's an example where we'd use those breakdowns by breakdowns by age, and we would go and make some changes. Placements, another area of placements that I see go wonky all the time is if I look inside an account and it looks like your ad costs per click are way too good to be true, way too good, then my first gut reaction is, oh, I bet you those ads are delivering inside the audience network. What is the audience network, you ask? Well, the audience network is apps. Think about it like apps and games. So if you have an advertisement that shows up inside of an app and you click on that advertisement, that is, and it's a Facebook placement, it's a Facebook ad placement inside of an app. So you could be playing your Scrabble game, and as soon as you finish that level and you're ready to play another one, you get served an ad, and you might be trying to click that ad to make it go away. So you're trying to click the X or trying to click off of it, but you actually tap the ad instead, and then it launches the website. It takes you off of your game, launches you into the website. And you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. You close that web browser, you go back into your game, you keep on playing. That's an example of what I would call a false click. And it basically inflates your click numbers, and it inflates your results in your Facebook advertising. And Facebook is seeing it as in, oh, you wanted to run an ad for traffic to your landing page. We're going to put that ad in the best placement that's primed to get you the most clicks. So we're just going to blast that ad out into that placement in the audience network over and over and over because you keep getting clicks over there. But the reality is the quality of the clicks is just not there. There's no quality. So the whole point is digging a little bit deeper into these ad accounts to see where the opportunities are. So if I were to just jump into ad accounts, I guess I can show you where that breakdowns menu is. Let's go back to our performance default. Let me clear breakdowns. And let me put my face on this side. There we go. So over here we have these menus. We've got our columns, and that we have a bunch of different presets in here. So I can go, I can rank it by video engagement if I wanted to. There's all sorts of different presets, or you can fully customize it your own if you want to, but usually you're on the performance, the default performance columns. To the right of that, we have our breakdowns menu. In the breakdowns, we can break down our campaigns by time, by delivery, and by action. So by delivery is pretty much where we're going to be spending a lot of time, and that's where you see by age, by gender. This is where you get country and region. This is where you also get the devices that people are on. So let's try that one, for example. If I go impression device, then I can see that we have, if I'm looking at iPhone, iPad, Android, this breaking down my information this way was helpful for me when I was running Messenger ads. Actually, let me just search for glossary. Let's find that one. Let's take off the video view objective. Glossary. Yeah, check this out. Let's filter by selection on this guy. Oops, I don't want them all. Nope. I just want this one. Filter by selection. So inside here, when I use my breakdowns, I can see that all of my messaging conversations that I'm getting, that were started from this particular campaign, came from iPhones. But you can see I have a high amount of delivery that's happening on Androids, but I'm not getting anybody interacting from Androids. So if I were to use these breakdowns and break down that information in different ways, I can learn a lot about my different campaigns and learn a lot about the behaviors of people. So that's under that breakdown menus. The one thing about the breakdown menu that is a little frustrating, by the way, is when you click into it, you have to hover over, otherwise it disappears. So I hover over it and then choose whatever I want. Let's go placement. And then if I move away from it, that menu is sticky. It stays there. I have to click off of that menu somewhere. And then this is persistent, so it stays. These breakdowns stay if I navigate through campaigns, ad sets, ads, whatever. If I navigate through these tabs, that'll stay there. It'll keep breaking down all the information. So I might want to go in here and hit clear breakdowns. There we go. So that's another example. Let me go back here. It's another example of you can slice and dice the information in a whole lot of ways. Now, as I'm saying all this, I do want to throw in one little caveat that iOS 14.5, the rollout of that on these lovely iOS devices is throwing a little bit of a wrench into our reporting. Reporting is now becoming a little bit delayed, so we might see delayed reporting up to 24 hours, 72 hours, worst case scenario. So reporting is going to be delayed. We're not going to have a full accurate picture, especially from any information that's coming from external, outside of Facebook. So if I'm getting information coming in from my pixel that's living on my website, and I'm trying to track my website visitors and retarget my website visitors, reporting on that, it may look like we have less website visitors than we traditionally have, because some people are opting out of allowing Facebook to track them on an iOS device. When I say some people, that's like about 95% of people who are being served the little option of like, hey, do you want to allow Facebook to track you? Most people are like, yeah, no. Click, nope. So with that, we're losing some visibility with the reporting. So as we're going through, and we in some cases are going to be losing some visibility with those breakdown menus. So the way that we've been able to slice and dice our data before, it may be changing here soon in the future. But something to keep in mind, everything that I just kind of showed you there on the audiences, the frequency, the breakdown, so slicing and dicing that data in different ways, and the average costs of what you're seeing inside that ad account, these are all what I would call like launch points, like starting points of going in, taking a look at an ad account, auditing this ad account to see the health of it, what the heck is going on. The other thing I don't have here on the list, but I am going to show you anyway, is I'll put myself on this side. We have this thing called ad relevance diagnostics, and I want you to take it with a grain of salt. And that phrase basically means don't put too much weight in it, but just use it as an indicator of how you could be improving your ads. So let me go over here. Most of mine are usually below average, but let's see if I scroll down a little bit. I don't think I have much ranking here in this account at all. No, and I don't want to go digging all the way down for it. So let's just see if I can get this to rank by quality. No, so I only have 3 things that are giving me any rankings whatsoever. In other ad accounts, I see a lot more. But what these things are that we're looking at, let me bring this into a screenshot. So I'm going to screenshot that, let me go back here to me, and let me go pull in that screenshot into our current view. Let's go screenshots and make this a little bit easier. There we go. Cool how I can do that. I love using all these tools. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Your quality, engagement, and conversion ranking. Where you're going to find that is at the ad level. You're not going to find it in the campaigns tab. You're not going to find it at the ad set tab. You got to go all the way into the actual ads themselves. Why? Because it's the individual ads that are getting this report card, not your campaigns, not your ad sets. Your ads themselves are what are getting this report card. And this report card is indicating to you how well your ads are performing. And this basically gives you a snapshot of how Facebook sees your ads, how competitive they are, how they're going to be ranking as far as placement with the algorithm, and how competitive they are with compared against other advertisers also competing for the same audiences that you are competing for at that exact moment in time. Long-winded way to say, it kind of gives you an indicator. If you have below average in multiple categories, then that's an opportunity for you to go and make some improvements to that campaign to possibly get better costs. So if I jump in and audit an ad account and I go all the way to the ads tab and I take a breeze over this, and if I see below average in every single category across the board, that's like a giant red flag inside that ad account that somebody's been setting it and forgetting it. Somebody's just been blindly running ads without paying any attention. Now, don't be alarmed if you do have some below average. Perfectly normal, completely normal. When you have above average in every single category, not so normal. That's like hitting a home run. That's fantastic. Traditionally, this thing used to be called the relevance score. It used to be a score of 1 to 10. They'd give you a number. So that your report card for how well your ad did would be a ranking of 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. If you had a low relevance score, your ad costs were generally higher. If you had a high relevance score, your ads are doing great. This has now replaced that to give you a little bit more information, because if I had a low relevance score in the past, it's like, okay, thanks Facebook, but why is my ad not performing? What's wrong with it? Well, this kind of helps give you an indicator. So the quality is the ad itself. So your image, your ad copy, your call to action, your headline, all of those pieces, that's what that is. So if this is below average, there's probably some room to improve that compared to for the audience you're serving to. In my case, if that's below average, well, maybe they're not liking the pink high heel. Maybe the pink and the purple and the glam and the glitz and glam. Maybe people are just like, you know what? We just want to know Facebook. We need that to be a little more business professional. And then when we talk about engagement, are they engaging with the ad? Are they clicking, liking, commenting, sharing, engaging, interacting with it? Are they taking any form of action? That's going to influence your engagement. So if you had below average engagement across the board, that tells me you might have a good ad, but you might be targeting the wrong audience. And then when we look at your conversion, that's basically saying, okay, so the objective that you asked for, whether it's a traffic objective or a lead form or a video view, are people actually crossing the finish line of what you're asking them to do? Are they watching the videos? Are they filling out your lead form? Are they clicking to go to your website? If not, you're probably going to have below average. So this is an indicator that you can use to look at the overall temperature and health of certain campaigns and go and see how Facebook sees it. So if Facebook sees below average across the board, giant red flag in an ad account, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper and go and look at the ad itself and get some insights from that. If you have above average across the board, I'm going to go dig in, I'm going to go look at that ad and go, ooh, what did they do that Facebook liked? And this is all of this information sort of paints an overall picture. I'm going to pull that off. All of this information paints a picture as to where can you improve. So it's going to be different for every single advertiser, and it's going to be different inside every single ad account. And if you have just been tasked with the job of managing ads for your company, or if you're taking on a client and they don't really know what they're doing, and you threw your hand up and said, "Oh, I can help you. I know I've boosted a post before. I can help you." And then you go into Ads Manager for the first time. All of this can be a little bit overwhelming. You might not know where to start, and you might not know how to answer that question of how well are my ads actually performing? Because like we've already mentioned, that results column that you see where it gives you the result, for that example of 1 cent per through play, video view, through play is 15 seconds. 1 cent, for my own averages, that's astronomically amazing. It's great, but it is too good to be true. So digging in a little bit deeper into the data and adding a little bit of context to it is going to help you understand where there are massive opportunities for you to go and make some tweaks and changes either to existing campaigns or to future campaigns that changes you can implement for campaigns moving forward. That's going to tighten up your budget, make the best use of your budget, save you a lot of time, headache, and trial and tribulation in the end. But if you're not paying attention to this data, if you're not looking at it and you're just running ads blindly, there's probably a lot of opportunity that you're just letting pass you by. So if you're looking for a starting point, I'm going to wrap this up here. If you are jumping into an ad account that has had ads running in it and you're looking in there for the first time, this is basically a really good launch pad, a starting point of going in, taking a peek at the audiences and seeing, do they even have custom audiences? Are they retargeting? Do they have audiences of people to retarget? Frequency, where are our average frequencies? Are we exhausting our audiences, or are we just letting it go for a one hit and moving on? So depending on the nature of the campaign, the objective you're asking for, your frequency really does matter. Breakdowns. Are we digging in a little bit deeper and looking at age, gender? Are we looking at devices, platforms, placements? So are ads delivering more heavily on Instagram than Facebook? Are they delivering completely all on Facebook and zero on Instagram, but you had a virtual assistant that you're paying X number of dollars to make multiple sets of creative so that your creative looks good in Instagram, but meanwhile, they're not even delivering in Instagram anyway. So it's wasted effort, wasted time. And then average costs. Get an understanding of what the average costs are inside that ad account or your own ad account if that's what you're auditing. There are ways to look at, don't compare one objective to another. So I'm not going to look at all of my video view objective campaigns and compare those costs against my traffic campaigns, clicks going off of Facebook, because those costs are going to be wildly different. But I'm going to take all my video view campaigns and look at those together and go, okay, what's my average cost per through play? Now I've set my baseline and now I can see the outliers, and it gets a little easier to backtrack and figure out where the bottlenecks are and where things have gone wrong or where there's room for improvement, or where things are doing quite well and where you can go and replicate those. So all that information, I know it's a lot that I've thrown at you. But if you want to know more about this, if you want to spend an hour and a half with me next week on Tuesday, digging into how to create your own custom reports in Facebook, how to read and understand all of these reports, and how to answer those big questions of where can I make improvements on my ads, what's working, what's not, then you're definitely going to want to head on over to swiftkickinttheads.com, sign up for Swift Kick in the Ads, become a member, because that 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp is included, and week 4 is next Tuesday, and we're digging into all of this information. If you're already an ads kicker and you're watching this right now, you're going to want to tune into that one. And I want to give a giant shout out to Restream. This broadcast is streaming on multiple I can say this, I swear I can. This broadcast is streaming on multiple platforms. So there are folks watching this over on YouTube, people watching this in different Facebook groups, people watching this on the Digital Gals Facebook page. Hi. So this is an example of I'm using Ecamm to produce my show, but I'm streaming it through Restream, and Restream has so much flexibility. So if you want to set up a free account for yourself and go and check it out, you can go to thedigitalgal.com/Restream. And then in tomorrow's shows, we've got 2 live shows on the go here. This is What in the Ads is Going On. And tomorrow I have the video marketing show, and that's fully produced inside Restream's studio. Yes, Restream is browser-based, and it has its own live streaming studio. So you can create your own overlays, you can have background images, you can put logo overlays, you can bring text up, you can have all sorts of really amazing features that are already built into it and are complete user-friendly. So you don't have to have live streaming experience to be able to produce beautiful shows all on your own. So when you have the chance, make sure you head over to thedigitalgal.com/Restream, go and sign yourself up for a free account. Go check it out. I dare you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for geeking out with me. As always, the one reason that I love this show so much is because I really just get to geek out on Facebook ads, and this is what makes me tick. This is what makes me happy. So this one might be this show might be a little more selfish because it's a moment for me to just like be at one with my ads geek self. And I'm just glad that you were here to witness it and to join me. So thank you, everybody. I am Amanda Robinson. I am the Digital Gal. Make sure you jump in and join me tomorrow on the Video Marketing Show at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Yes, I do my math in my head that way. And I will see you over there. Thanks, everybody, and have a fantastic